for a second, something I want to say about power scaling that gets into the difference between you and I is the way you see it. And so I see it via like stats basically, whereas you see it how many characters on average can they defeat compared to other characters,
But
right?
it all just depends on how you want to do your ranking or tier list. It's
Well,
because I think both are totally viable. I am more interested in the better fighter because in Naruto that's just more relevant. That's what I started with. I didn't start with
okay.
Dragon Ball. In Dragon Ball, it might just work different, and that's fine. A lot of people start there. For me, at least, though, like a character like Obito is going to be called strong and ranked high on, Pain Arc, Five Kage Summit Arc, Naruto's tier list, not because of the overwhelming power that he displays, but because he's got these ridiculous hacks that he can't beat. He's just going to put him higher on the tier list for that alone.
See, I feel
And
like
same
that's
with like
not true.
Boro, for example.
So the way I see it, so hypothetically, and I'll get into an example after this, a real example in the series, but hypothetically, imagine Kaguya came back and she actually just was weak. Like, she was like part 1 Academy Sakura level in terms of all stats. So she was just getting speed blitz left and right, absolutely demolished in a fight. She can't do anything at all. But she doesn't take any damage because she's just invincible. So Naruto and
Yeah,
Sasuke
but
just
if she
cannot
yeah,
defeat her.
yeah, but if she cannot, if she's so weak she can't do anything to Naruto and Sasuke, that's different. The point is she strong enough to do something to Naruto and Sasuke? If the answer is yes, and because otherwise she's not gonna win the fight.
That's
She
not
would
true.
just get beaten
Because
up,
if
and
she's
then
invincible, Naruto and Sasuke are going to continue fighting until they're weak enough to lose to
well,
that version of
no,
Kaguya.
because they'll do what they did originally and try to seal her. Or if they just let's just say that's just not allowed. She's just immune to sealing. There
Yeah.
just is zero. First of all, that just doesn't make sense because then how the hell did she ever die? But they would just run away, or a plot would come through.
Well, but if Kaguya
They
can
just
chase
wouldn't.
them, it doesn't matter.
But she can't chase them fast enough if her stats are too slow.
She
She would
has
never
hacks to
be able to hit
teleport.
them. But then her reaction speed, her movement speed's still too slow to hit them. Like I said, you made her too low. But now if you start to raise the bar, now she has the hacks to land a lethal hit, then she's gonna land a lethal hit, and she's gonna like the point is she capable of killing them? If she's so slow she just can't, then no, they're not going to rank her high. But if she's actually able to hit them, then yeah, they're going to rank her high because they can't do anything to her and she can kill them and she will kill them.
No, Kamui, but that's where you're wrong, though. It doesn't matter how fast Naruto and Sasuke are, because eventually they're going to get tired. Whether it's a day, a week, a month, it doesn't matter. They're going to have to sleep.
So now you're giving Kaguya just infinite energy. She doesn't need to sleep now. You're writing in like, I mean, yeah, you can write that, but if Kaguya had like, if that's the case, War of Attrition, she has the greatest stamina in the verse, and that's why she's so strong then. Like, because for example, Kisame. I know Kisame isn't to this absurdly extreme, but one of his big things, like he tells B, is like, I will never tire. I will never go down because of my chakra reserves, my stamina, and as well as Samehara. Like, I will just shave away at you. It doesn't matter if you're stronger. The stronger my opponent, the stronger I become. In reference to like chakra reserves, anyway. But the point is, he's like, I will just get stronger and I will just outlast you and I will eventually beat you. I'm putting Kisame higher, and a lot of people will be like, oh yeah, Kisame washed B or whatever. The reason they're saying that because he just is stronger because of these things. In Kisame's case, his stamina and chakra reserves, as well as skill, other factors too, of course, but like that's like his big call to fame. That's why he's strong. If Kaguya has infinite chakra reserves and infinite stamina, she doesn't need to sleep. Her stamina, as well as these ridiculous hacks, are just why she's strong. She might be slow as hell, but also the problem though is in that case, Kaguya's also not winning in a fight if she's off guarding them in their sleep, which is another difference. So I'm saying, does she beat them in the fight, or does she wait for them to go home and go to bed and then kill them. Because
But they're
that's
not
different.
going home or going to bed. We know this is the case because Kaguya just in the Hagoromo Hamura fight stated to fight for months. So I'm just taking away her speed in this case. So Naruto and Sasuke don't just give up or quit. They have to continue fighting Kaguya, but they
So
can
if
never
they
win.
fight until they pass out and Kaguya beats them, she beat them fair and square then.
But Naruto and Sasuke would just obviously scale above her and are just stronger than her in every regard.
No, they would scale above her in her speed. As far as we've established, you've just established that she has way more chakra because she has infinite stamina and chakra reserves, so she beats them there. And she has way better hacks, so she beats them there. She beats them. The only stat you've given me is speed.
I'm not giving
Maybe you're
her
gonna say her
infinite
physical
stamina.
strength.
Because the point is that she just can't be hurt. So if they're trying to hurt
No,
her
you
and she
said that
has
she
infinite
doesn't get tired.
durability based on a hacks, not based on something on her, then
No,
she's
you
not
said that
using her
she wasn't gonna
chakra.
get tired.
She's not using her chakra. She's not fighting in that case.
Okay, but you also saying that she can't be knocked out. She can't just get tired like a regular person and need to go to sleep. Like, so she has these other things that are effectively greater stamina.
She
In
can
that
get
case, she
ragdolled
doesn't.
around, but she doesn't feel it, and it doesn't do anything.
I mean, at the end of the day, she's just outlasting them.
I would not scale Kaguya above her or above them because of that. In any regard, I would never
If
put them higher
Kaguya
on a
beats
tier
every
list.
single person in the verse because of this hacks, and she is I mean, you literally said it yourself. She is invincible. If she is truly invincible, yeah, she goes at the top of the tier list.
No. Okay, then you have two invincible people fighting, one's blatantly stronger than the other. Would you just have them tied because the battle would go on forever? Neither of them would win?
No, no, because in that case, you've just, again, Oodie, I didn't say there's only one factor. I said I'm more so looking at how they do in the verse in their battles, and there's different contexts. There can be group battles, one-on-one battles. I like to just
We
look at
are
all things
reducing
into
it down to
account, and
one factor in this
basically,
case.
how would a Naruto
Oh
character
my
rank the
god.
tier list?
The
In
way
this
I see
case,
it,
though, there's a clear. No, Ood, I'm not done. There's a clear winner in this case. They are both invincible, but one is blatantly stronger, as you said. Well, if it's clear as day, yeah, they go above because,
oh,
well, even if it's only just one to the left, not even a new tier, they're going to go above because,
okay,
well, they
okay.
are stronger.
Going based on that, then.
Yeah.
This character's blatantly stronger and they can't defeat this person. Let's just have a blatantly weaker character, a third person come in. They're blatantly weaker, they're not invincible, but they have a hacks that allows them just to one-shot invincible characters. Where would you scale this person?
So, no, but in that case, again, so then in that case, it's only invincible characters. The jutsu only works on invincible characters in this
Sure.
case. Okay, then they're not going to go high in their tier list because it's a weird rock, paper, scissors thing where they can only beat invincible characters, the two people in the verse that are invincible, and they lose to every other character. Then no, it almost, the fact that it only works on invincible people makes it almost like an irrelevant jutsu to the tier list because, as far as we've established so far, that affects two characters in the verse, and it does nothing at all to anyone else. So in the average fight, it's a jutsu that we don't even need to mention.
Okay,
It
in
only
that
would
case,
matter if
let's
it was
apply it to
they were
everyone.
equal to another character in every regard, except they can be invincible characters. Then they're going to go above that person because of that one little boost they have.
Then let's apply it to everyone. So if they're fast enough to get it off, then they can just one-shot anyone.
Well, then it depends on how many people are they able to do this with?
I disagree.
Like, are they able to do this with literally everyone? Or is it like only a couple people? Are they only, let's just say Naruto standards. Let's just say it only works on Atsuki. No, let's say it only works on Shibai's level of Atsuki. And he can get it off on Chunin and Genin. But he's not good enough to beat like a Jonin like Konohamaru. Well, if that's the case, he's still going He's very useful end of series, but he will go basically where he belongs, like that low Jonin, high tuning area, because for the most part, that ability is irrelevant. But if he's soloing all the Kage, the Boruto era Kage and below with this jutsu, and it affects Shibai, but he can't beat. Well, even then, like it's too clear. The point is, where is the bottom line? If it's like he can beat Shibai and he can beat base Momoshiki and below, but he can't beat Fuse Momoshiki. Or even then, like, I'm sorry, in this case, it's just too much of a one-off. We said he can beat one strong-ass dude with it. It's basically irrelevant. It just depends. Like, you have
He
to
has
just
the
really
ability
look
to
at it
use it on
holistically.
anyone, but he doesn't have the capability to use it on everyone.
Yeah, and so it just depends on like how many people is he capable of using on. In this hypothetical scenario, though, um, so in that case, if it would work on Shibai, if it hit, but he can't hit Shibai with it, it doesn't really matter too much because it's never gonna matter.
But
So
this is why we can't count external hacks such as this, because in every regard, an Olympian would just defeat a baby with a gun. In every regard. But the baby with the gun has the gun, so it could just kill the Olympian before the Olympian gets
yeah,
close.
so Udi, but again, when I'm referring to this shit, I'm referring to how it played out in the series with Obito. I'm taking what he can do, what he is capable of in account. I'm not saying, I'm not ranking Kamui. I'm ranking Obito using Kamui. What have we seen Obito do? The point is, it's because Obito has Kamui that he's as high as he is in Orange Mask Obito's case. He's not remove Kamui, like his hack's ability. He's not going nearly as high. That's not to say he's going at the bottom of the tier list, but he's going to drop several pegs lower because just his speed and strength alone isn't making him, one of the strongest characters
Well,
of the
that's just
time.
not
He's
true. His
still
speed and
very
strength
strong.
alone is making him one of the strongest. But
Yeah, but he's not like beating. For example, you're not going to put him over Pain. If you are, get out of here. Even with Kamui, I think you can argue for Pain. But
bro, you're crazy. KCM 1 or KCM 2 is keeping up with White Mask Obito. What are you talking about?
White Mask Obito. I didn't realize that white and orange were the same color. Interesting.
God.
I'll have to ask my doctor about that one. Anyway.
Whatever.
Anyway, the moral of the story is when we say that, for example, Boro, well, I'm taking into account what Boro can do with his virus and hack. If Boro sucks too hard to use his hacks, it doesn't matter. But we're looking at what can he reasonably do based off his showings. And I'm going to use that to determine where I think he would go. Like, it's really, like, the point is, the way you're phrasing it makes it seem like you're just going to remove his virus and assume it doesn't exist on your tier list. That's fine, but I think you need to say, like, that's not a just Naruto character tier list. It's a speed and strength only tier list. It's not a holistic,
no, that's not
collective
true.
look at the character.
Because no. What you're assuming is that okay. If Boro just is asleep and he just has his virus on, who can he defeat in a fight? That's not the same thing. Because at that point, you're only scaling the ability, not the actual person.
No, oh my fucking god. No, I'm not, because I don't know how many more times I can say that I'm taking a holistic view. All of their things into account. Their speed, their strength, their abilities, how they use them in a fight, what we've seen them do with those abilities, with their strength, and so on. Like, the point is, the way you're saying it makes it seem like you're going to pretend his virus in region doesn't exist for your tier list. That's how you're wording it. If you're not actually going to do that, then it's not a speed and strength tier list. It's a holistic view.
You look
but
at
you're
it
saying it
as
as
all
if
in one and the
you're
same.
ignoring the abilities. And if you're ignoring the abilities, then I don't want to do that. That doesn't interest
We're
me,
both looking at the totality, but we're going about it in two different ways. I'm looking at the whole, whereas you're looking at each point in isolation and adding them on.
No, I'm not, Oodie. I don't know how many more times I can make it fucking clear that I'm looking at the holistic view of what they can do in a fight. The point is,
but you're adding in things from isolation onto the thing to get to the totality.
No, because you literally said at the beginning of this that you don't look at it as how they can win in a fight. You're only looking at it from the speed and strength perspective. You literally started the conversation with that. And my point is, if Boro is a little bit slower, I'm going to make up a character. If he's a little bit slower and physically weaker than Goro, his older brother, but Boro has a virus that will let him, in regeneration, that will let him beat Goro, he's going higher on my tier list. Or like, especially if that works on other characters too. If it works on everyone, then yeah, he's going over Goro, even though Goro is a little bit faster and stronger, because Boro's abilities make him a better shinobi than Goro, our made-up character.
Definitely not. The way I
That's
see
the
it,
point.
the way I see it isn't who would beat the most characters in a fight. The way I see it is who would be the best bodyguard, essentially. And so Boro would still have his
Boro would be a
virus in
great
his
bodyguard
case.
because of his abilities. Because he would just use the virus to put the enemies to sleep, and he could jump in front of the person he's guarding to tank the attack and regenerate afterwards. It makes a great bodyguard
Which
for
is
that reason.
why you're disingenuous when you say I'm completely removing it, because that's not true.
You said it. That's how you introduced the topic. But also,
Definitely not.
I mean, that's fine, but like, I don't think most people are doing it from the perspective who is the best bodyguard.
Well, I'm
Because
not
even
doing it
then,
literally
now I feel
exactly
like,
only like that. That's just a good way to look at it. One way to look at it.
yeah, but even then though, I feel like that also might prioritize defensive abilities over offensive abilities, because the point of bodyguarding is to protect the one you're guarding, not
It's
inherently to
conceptually.
kill
There's not
your
something
opponent.
they're actually protecting.
But even then, I think that would prioritize defensive abilities, whereas winning the fight would be both offense and defense.
Well, no, they
So
would still
I
have to
still
win the fight because it's a fight to the death. That doesn't matter.
that's not being a bodyguard. That's about winning a fight to the death. Who would win the fight?
No,
So
no, no,
you're
no, no,
coming
no.
back to
You're
mine.
definitely saying it wrong. You're definitely saying it wrong. So, for example, would you rather have Might Guy and Lee in like the fifth gate defending you, or would you rather have Four Tails Naruto? So I'm using this example because Might Guy and Fifth Gate Lee were ragdolling Four Tails Naruto in the Chikara filler arc from Naruto, or the Power movie, however you want to see it. They scale above that version, even though they can't damage that version. They eventually have to become tired, and so they can't inevitably defeat the character, but they're still inarguably stronger than the Four Tails Naruto.
But again, though, that's why I said it's not just about the 1v1. You gotta look at it versus the rest of the verse here. If in this hypothetical case, Might Guy in the fifth gate can't beat Four Tails Naruto, but Might Guy will beat a lot more opponents than Four Tails Naruto is. That's basically a mismatch where Naruto just outlasted Guy, but on average, Guy is the superior fighter who's just gonna win more fights. Like,
Exactly.
but if Four Tails Naruto is gonna come out on top of way more fights than Might Guy, then he would just. The point is,
Definitely
it's an
not.
on average perspective.
It's about who's
Like, who
stronger.
is the superior fighter?
It's
Because
about who's stronger in
Orochimaru
totality.
can take being ragdoll, and he's just fine. But that's the point. It's because ragdolling him isn't enough. Like, if he just wins the fight because you think you're beating his ass and then he slices your throat with a sneak attack with his abilities, like, bro's a better shinobi. That's the way I'm looking at it. Who is the better shinobi fighter?
You're looking at it in terms of the war, not the battle. And you have to scale these characters based on each version of their base differently. So One Tails Naruto is a different character from Naruto. You would give basically infinite stamina, in this case, to each fighter.
No, I'm not doing that because
Okay, then you're
I've got
doing
to
it
look at it
wrong.
from the perspective of how it actually plays out in the series. That's how I want to do it.
Well, these fights
I
don't
don't want
actually
to do
happen
it
in the
if
series, so you have to use hypotheticals.
Yes, but in a hypothetical with Seventh Gate Guy, I know that he's not fighting for hours on end. So I will factor in if he's in a close enough battle to where the opponent will just they're close enough that Might Guy doesn't win, but the opponent will undoubtedly outlast him and win because of that, that I'm putting that other made-up character over Might Guy.
And
That's
you
how
do it
I want to do my
wrong.
tier list. I want to do the tier
Your
list
tier list is
based on if they
wrong based on the
in
majority.
the
It's not how
no,
anyone else
I
does
don't.
it.
First of all, I don't care if the majority likes to just focus on speed and strength. I'm telling you how I like to do it. That's all I'm saying. I didn't say that there's a right way to do it. I'm saying that I like to do it based off how they actually will perform in the series. Who is on average
So-
the better ninja,
so
the better
Kamui.
fighter.
8 Gates Guy versus Teen Obito or Teen Minato who can teleport away. Or even Baryon mode
Again, but in that
Naruto
case,
against
in
them.
that case, Minato didn't win a fight against Might Guy.
He can
ran
outlast
from the
them.
fight against Might Guy. No, but the difference from that is Minato ran from the fight, let Might Guy die, not by Minato's hand at all, but by Might Guy by his own suicidal attack. If Deidara goes for C0, Minato teleports away, I'm not saying, and that's just the start and end of the fight. Minato didn't beat Deidara in a fight. Deidara killed himself and Minato ran away from it.
In
There's a
this
difference.
case, it's not about teleporting away from the battlefield. It's about teleporting around
So-
the battlefield.
For example, there's no way you're going to disagree with this shit because it's fucking Madara. Madara, I don't care. Pretend the team didn't help. Just pretend the team didn't help for a second. Madara was getting ragdolled by Might Guy. But I don't care if you want to say, oh, Madara could actually go hard or whatever. The point is, the fight we saw, Guy is ragdolling Madara. Madara at the end is alive, regenerates, and is going to kill Guy. Madara is stronger than Might Guy.
No, he
on my
isn't!
tier list, and I'm sure
Because why would
on
he be
my
getting
tier list-
ragdolled if that's true? Because
the
he was
point
weaker
is,
than him at
his
that moment.
abilities make him a superior fighter.
Realistically, it's because he wasn't trying at that moment, but that's besides the point. Hypothetically, if
My
he was.
point though is he is a superior fighter because even Might Guy isn't taking Madara down, and Madara's ready to keep fighting. He's ready to keep going.
But then you're not looking at the actual fight, you're looking at the end result.
Yeah, at the end of the day, Madara defeated Might Guy.
Then you're looking at it
Or you
wrong.
can say Might Guy defeated himself. The point is,
Hypothetically,
if Madara stood there and took, like, the point is Madara engaged in the entire fight. If Minato teleports away, he didn't engage with 8 Gates Might Guy. So that's the difference. But if Minato stayed there, and this is going to be goofy, but let's just say he just dodged. This one is like even more of a gray area.
what I was
but if
saying.
Minato literally
It's
just
gray
dodged
area.
8 Gates Might Guy with Flying Raijin until he died, first of all, Minato is establishing the reaction speeds to avoid people of Might Guy's speed, meaning 8 Gates Guy just can't even hit him. That's just a display of Minato's combat speed in that case. And then he just waits for Might Guy to die. It's a little bit like a gray area. It's like, okay, Minato can't hurt him, but at the same time, Guy can't hit Minato, and he outlasts him. Like, if Minato's that fucking fast, then you got to take that into account. The question though is, well, can Minato hurt anyone else? Take a guy who's not going to die. Let's just say Ishiki was equal to Might Guy in speed. If Minato's kunai can't hurt Ishiki ever, nor his Rasengan, nor any of his attacks, well, Minato's not going to win. He's going to run out of chakra. Ishiki will never get hurt, and he will kill Minato. So, but even though Minato's quote-unquote faster in this case, it's not going to do shit, so it doesn't matter.
But Kamui, this is where
You
this
gotta
just
look at
gets
the holistic
ridiculous.
approach.
Because usually whenever someone powers up into their stronger or strongest form, they can't stay in that form as long as they can just be in base or whatever, a weaker form. And so if you're factoring that in, a weaker form could just be higher on your tier list than the stronger form.
No, it depends. It would, the problem is, battle practicality with that form. If that form lasts for 1 second and the base form is equally as fat, it just again, let's just say, or in that case though, you're almost it's basically power scaling 8 jutsu in that case. But
exactly.
Um, and that's fine if you want to say, but then again, in that case, you're not power scaling a character in that case.
That's what
It's a
I'm
jutsu,
saying.
in which is no, but again, I I'm saying there's context behind all this,
Oh
and this
my
is why I'm
god.
almost getting pissed off because again, if I'm scaling Mahito versus Jogo, and you just say Mahito versus Jogo, I'm gonna count for everything. I'm gonna count for everything. If you specifically say instant spirit body distorted killing Mahito, I'm not. I'm just gonna jump to that. In his case, he can stay there anyway. But it's all about context. Sometimes you gotta factor in stamina. Other times you don't. And it also just depends on how you want to frame it. But anyway, this is a pointless discussion because my overall point is you just do the fucking tier list how you want to do it and just establish how you're doing it at the beginning. And I'm just saying, I like to look at who's winning the fight. And also, even in this case, even if you want to say a hypothetical infinite stamina sage mode, so he never runs out for Naruto, okay, I'm still going to look at it from, well, how does he do in the fight against his opponent? Not just his speed and strength. I'm not here at a power scale, no, the amount of push-ups Naruto can do, or how far he can throw a baseball, and how fast his 100-meter dash is. I'm looking at, well, how does he do in his fights against his opponents, regardless if you give him infinite stamina or not?
But then it's not a tier list about fighting, it's a tier list about winning. Hypothetically, if Denki just made an omnipotent button to
No,
where if
it
he
is
presses
about
it,
fighting.
his opponent just
It's about
automatically
winning
falls over
fight.
dead. Okay, so does Light from Death Note just scale at the top of every universe now? He's just the strongest character in
Well, in
Dragon
that
Ball.
case, it wouldn't. First of all, I don't care for crossverse, but second of all, that wouldn't be a fight.
Oh my god. But it's an
Because
external
he's off
hacks.
guard killing.
So it counts
He's
it
off guard
accounts
killing.
within
He's
to him. You gotta account for the
he's off
totality.
guard killing people. He's off guard killing people. That's not
Oh
a fight.
god.
If at the begin if we make up a hypothetical goofy but hypothetical situation to where the battle premise is Light has a blindfold on and they both have blindfolds on. They are set up to be standing 10 feet away from each other with blindfolds, hands behind their back, and they're in an open field. And then when the referee takes off their blindfolds, the fight begins. And Light opens his eyes and immediately writes down on the death note before Naruto can smash his face with the Rasengan that yeah, Light wins that fight because it was actually technically a fight. It was set up, and he used his death note jutsu to win. But if Naruto slices his head off before he can write Naruto's name, then sorry, Light lost. The difference, though, is in Death Note, Light doesn't do that. The one time he basically tries to do that, he gets shot in the hand at the
Spoilers,
end of
by
the
the way.
series. like, so, yeah, like the point is, Light can't win fights this way, realistically speaking. He has to off-cart people, which
Okay.
is the point of the fucking
So
Death Note. It's not a fighting jutsu.
hypothetically, we're doing the tier list right now. We get to the tuning exams, 5th Gate Lee versus Gaara. Who do you put higher on the tier list?
Gaara. Lee couldn't do anything. Lee couldn't win. Lee lost that fight, even in the 5th gate.
That's where it's just freaking wrong. Okay. So, where would you put... Okay, Sasuke retrieval. We get to Kimimaro versus Gaara.
Also, as a small side note, I'm looking at it from a the tier list of just those just the 1v1 basically tier list, a tier list with 2 characters.
That's fine.
If you gave me the list of every Naruto character, I would just have to think about how they do against basically the tier, the mostly the people below them,
Yeah.
and a little bit of the people above them. But
okay,
so
so
hypothetically, if I decided Lee beats more opponents, which he arguably does, Lee will go higher in that case. But that was just in the case of there's only 2 characters on that tier list.
so
I have to think about how
on the tier list, Kimimaro versus Gaara. Who do you put higher on the tier list?
Well, Kimimaro is blatantly stronger.
But he lost.
Yeah, not because of Gaara.
Okay.
Also, not because Kimimaro used a jutsu that kills him. Kimimaro just died.
So you
It's
aren't
like dying of old age in the
counting
middle of the fight.
external hacks then.
That wasn't external hacks. It was external anti-hacks.
It's an external is the point. So then, like, Gaara's mom, are you counting that for Gaara?
I'm not counting Gaara's mom per se, but I'm counting what the sand does for Gaara in a fight.
Well, that Gaara's
Which you could
mom
say
is
is Gaara's
the one
mom.
doing that.
That's fine, but it's he's using it in the battle combat prowess. First of all, you can't remove that in any knowledgeable way. It's too hard to scale because all you ever
yes, you
see
can.
is Gaara's mom playing defense. Like that's what you see for Gaara's defense. So I'm using
absolutely
that
can.
because first of all, that's just easier.
Well, then how
And
can you
second of all,
remove Kimimaro's weakness? Or his
I
sickness?
didn't remove
That's the
see,
point. How can you not do that?
No,
How
no,
can't you
I'm
do
not.
that?
I'm not doing it because you're also ignoring the fact that Kimimaro fought Naruto, then fought Lee, then fought Gaara. If Kimimaro starts with Gaara, he has what 30 minutes of extra time. All he needed was half a second. He kills Gaara because he just. You're adding in a context of basically a nerfed Kimimaro who's already wasted. First of all, he also had to run to the battlefield. Like Kimimaro is on a timer. Remove half of his timer because it starts with the fight with Gaara. Kimimaro is going over Gaara because he will win. Like he also just is stronger.
Okay, so the last
and
example
also
I'll
in the
bring
Might Guy
up.
case though is Might Guy's using a jutsu that kills him, so he's activating a death wish strongest form, and if he can't win using his strongest form because he can't kill his opponent is too strong, too durable,
That's
whatever.
the thing.
Well, he lost.
It's about
In
how
Kimimaro's
strong you
case,
are
he
at
did-
that moment, not over the duration of the form in totality, but at the moment that the form
It
is
depends.
activated.
It depends on the context of what you're using.
No, so hypothetically, if Two Tails Naruto could last half as long as One Tails Naruto,
Udi, you can't
Two Tails Naruto's
say
still stronger.
no to what I just said. I said it depends on the context you want to use, and you say no. No, that's not how that works because you set the framework you fucking want to use, which is what I've been saying the entire time. I don't know why you're saying it as if there's only one way to do a tier list. Like, so next time when we do the 10 chapters of Boruto tier list, yeah, we're only going to use speed and strength to rank those chapters. There's no other way to do it. We have to use it at the strongest form of the chapter too. So in Super Vortex Chapter 10, pick your favorite panel. You're only allowed to use your favorite panel. You can't use the holistic chapter. Not allowed, because Oodie said there's only one way to do a tier list. Let's remember that when we get there. We're only allowed to pick our favorite panel to rank. Okay.
Are you
good
done
to
with
know.
your
Oh,
rant?
by the way, same with Naruto arcs. Only your favorite panel of the Land of Waves is allowed. Sorry, you can't use the rest of the arc.
So you're done with your rant
no.
now?
Yeah, hopefully you realize.
Okay, so
so
going back to your
I still haven't
framework.
decided on chicken and rice or chicken and pasta, by the way, for the stream. Who was definitely wondering.
You know what? Just to spite you, I'm gonna say chicken and pasta because that's the worst one. Take that.
Well, I haven't decided either way. I was just telling you I haven't decided because I really want both.
Why don't you make chicken rice and pasta? There you
go. Very inconvenient, and I don't want that. I want to just pick one of them. I should just do the.
I feel like what you said just now goes against your entire power scaling idea in general. You don't want all three.
No, it doesn't.
But you want 2 and then 2. You want one or the other in terms of both.
Well, yes, because of calorie reasons and also time reasons, not because I don't want both inherently.
Okay.
I'm just going to choose one or the other.
Well, if you're going calories wise, regardless of time, well, I guess time, you would just make all 3 at the same time, and calorie wise, you would just make less of all 3.
Yeah, inconvenience, and also I don't like especially when I'm cooking. It's different if I'm at a restaurant, they're gonna cook for me. I do not want to make a small portion of 3 different meals. I like to just I visually like to eat a decent amount of what I'm eating.
Okay.
But if, of course, if someone just making it for me, here's your variety meal, whatever. But I don't want to put in the extra work for I don't want to do that because I don't feel like doing that. So
Okay.
anyway,
So my last example is going to be, I'm going to make the real example, then I go to the hypothetical example. So so first of all, don't cut me off when I say it, because I know what you're going to frickin' say. So knowing that.
You don't know what I'm going to say.
So knowing that, well, I do, because based on what you just said, based on this previous conversation, but Itachi versus Sasuke. Based on this, you should put Sasuke higher. And yes, I know the fact that Itachi could have won, because I know. No, it doesn't matter what Obito says, because no, Itachi wasn't going to win because he didn't have the mental willpower to have his body physically kill Sasuke. So Sasuke was always going to win that fight no matter what.
Yeah, but okay, so, and I can understand you're saying, oh, you're removing character. When we're doing the tier list, we are to some extent. I like to keep like some in character in terms of like their smarts. But in this case, no, like when we do these tier lists, most people, and this would include myself, we're going to assume Itachi just wants to kill Sasuke out of character, regardless of why. So he'll essentially be himself fighting wise, but we're going to give him a goal that doesn't actually exist.
Okay.
It's the same as like for example, you wouldn't normally have, Sakura versus Hinata just out of nowhere.
Well, you wouldn't
but
like,
we're going to do it in the tier list. Like,
so then this goes into the next point, which would be teen Obito, or even adult Obito, versus Rin. Which I think is a better hypothetical than the realistic example I just listed, but yeah. Same thing.
Yeah, but again, like I said, in series, yeah, Obito's never going to kill Rin, but like for the tier list, we're just going to assume he wants to.
Okay. Well, chat, I feel like...
So in the case of Itachi, it boils down to whether or not you think Itachi was actually stronger. But yeah, can we get on out of this? Because I didn't want to do that discussion at a little bit lower. Not way lower, but like a little bit.
I don't know why, going back to the power scaling thing, you just think I'm just taking things away, because I am applying them in universe. Like
how you started the conversation.
No, I don't care how I freaking started the conversation. You misunderstood how I started the conversation. But like the Boro thing, you do count that because he's moving around the sphere. He's using that in a combat scenario. For someone like Kaguya, that's not even a jutsu. That's not even a passive thing with her durability. That just, for whatever reason, we just don't even know why. She just is invincible or whatever, immortal, infinite healing. It doesn't matter. That's not a thing related to her. That's just added on top of her. But you wouldn't count that, unlike something like Gaara's sand that does have durability. We know this because Kimimaro can't pierce it. Sasuke can't punch through it in the Chunin exams. He's hurting his own fist trying. It has durability, though. You can push through Sasuke or Gaara's hand.
I would count both. Like I would pay attention to both. Like I said, in Boro's case, it requires him to be skillful with moving his core around, but I'm gonna count his regeneration as a battle asset. I don't know why I'm
count it too. That's fine.
I'm gonna count it for Kaguya too. Within the bounds of what we know. In the case of Ishiki versus Kaguya, for example. First of all, Ishiki might have ways to seal her. Rods, ramen pot. Can she break out? Up to argument. But be ignoring even that, I then want to look at, well, Kaguya might have these ridiculous hacks, but can she be sealed? And is it, compared to people who can seal her, if, let's just say there's 5 people in the world who can seal Kaguya, okay? But only 3 of them can be Ishiki. The other 2 die. As far as we can tell, Ishiki is beating more of those opponents, so he just is stronger. He's harder to defeat. The point is, regardless of why, if they're harder to take down and that person is more capable of killing his opponents, he's going to go higher in the tier list. The point is just like, I don't want to talk about this anymore. Back to the arcs, okay?
Bruh. Well, freaking screw the fact that you don't want to talk about, okay? Freaking I do, so what do you say about that?
Because my throat already hurts. I'm sick. And don't want to get into heated debates that make me talk louder and make my throat hurt more.
Fine. The
And
last thing I'll
to be
say on this
honest,
is
the
the
whole reason
fact
we
that I
got a
don't see any
podcast
point
was to talk
of
about
having unfair
Kurama,
fights
and
that
we're
aren't
like
even
3
fights in the
hours
first
in and we
place.
haven't even
Like, if there's
started
not a
about it.
possibility for the other person to win, then it's not a fight in the first place. Like, Kid Sasuke, you can pair that up against Baryon mode Naruto, because Kid Sasuke with the kunai can sneak behind and use the kunai to slit Baryon mode Naruto's threat. He has the ability to win, but he doesn't have the capability. You have to have the ability for it to be a fight in the first place. If you can't win, despite any circumstances at all, then it's not a fight.
Well,
So you look at
no.
how
If
they
the
would
if
fight
the,
rather than the outcome.
I'm talking about, do they engage in a fight? If they try and they lose, they fought.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. In this case, it's possible for Kid Sasuke to kill Baryon mode Naruto. It would never happen, but he has the ability to do so.
Yeah, and on my tier list, I'm factoring in, is it like a reasonable possibility? If they fight, is Sasuke 7 times out of 10 killing Baryon mode Naruto?
Never in a
No.
million
So he's not
years.
going over the tier list because he can theoretically off guard him with a kunai when he's sleeping. Like, the point is the fight. Are they fighting? And will he win in the fight? Will he
Not the end
kill
result,
Naruto
really.
in a fight? The answer is no. Because by that logic, almost everyone in the series, minus people like Kaguya maybe, they might lose to Kid Naruto if he kills them in their sleep, but that's not a fight, which is not what I'm ranking it on.
So then how do you have Momoshiki and Kinshiki above Kaguya?
Well, first of all, I haven't made a tier list, so you can't
Sure.
confirm that I said anything.
Uh-huh.
And second of all, in that one's case, it depends on how they perform against the average ninja or the average Utsuki. Because I recognize that it could be rock, paper, scissors. It could be a case to where Mabushiki and Kinshiki just can't beat Kaguya. But they might be able to beat the same Naruto and Sasuke that beat Kaguya and more. If that's the case, I'm going to factor that in to say, while they will lose to Kaguya, they are overall superior fighters than Kaguya, and they're beating more powerful opponents than Kaguya can. That's how I'm saying I look at it through the whole world, which is effectively what you want to do with what you're saying. It's all about the way you said it to start the conversation. Because you said it wasn't about fighting, it was about their speed and strength. You could say you were just saying that, mistake, whatever. That is why I engage in the discussion.
That's not what I said.
Because
whatever.
It is. It is
what you heard.
Otherwise, we wouldn't be having this argument. Because you're basically saying you look at their fights, you look at the actual fight, and you're disagreeing while saying the same thing. Anyway, I don't want to talk about that. I really need to pick which I'm eating. Am I eating fucking chicken and rice or
instilled in
chicken
Daikoku
pasta?
10, would Kurama have been reborn inside him rather than Himawari? Thoughts?
We don't know.
Oodie, thank you. Madara would have died if not for his regeneration. Exactly. You factor that in.
Exactly. I did factor it in. If Madara doesn't have regenerative abilities, he's going much lower on the tier list. One of his battle assets that makes him strong. It's not the only one, but it's one of the most powerful ones.
Hashtag Nishi for Kage. Okay.